Agents are coming in everywhere now. It is not just now swivel chairing between apps, it's also swivel chairing between all of these agents. Even finding a document, you're going through various places. If you want to take certain actions through an agent, you have to figure out which agent should I talk to? Where is this agent? How do I talk to that agent in order to get things done? Our vision of an agentic enterprise is that of one super application. Your apps are connected to it, your agents are connected to it. It is bringing in information, it is understanding what is happening in your world, it's learning through that, bringing you all the core things that you need to work on that day. And then there are agents behind the scenes powering that work and doing that work for you.
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. What if you could have all three at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have, since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is a cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/ionai. Ion AI, all run together, EYEONAI. That's oracle.com/ionai.
Thanks, Craig. Firstly, thanks for having me on this podcast. Truly appreciate it. I'm Bhaskar Roy. I head all Minsada AI products and solutions here at Workato. I My career, I started as a software developer way back when. And this is I'll age myself by saying this. I was at a company called Tandem Computers, which built nonstop software, and I was a part of the operating system team, building out various kind of capabilities therein. And from there, as I started interacting with more and more customers, I loved that customer interaction, and then became a product manager, went into product marketing, etc. Now, the way I came to Workato was actually there is a story there. So, I was a means I started a company called QIK. We were in mobile video streaming space, and then got acquired by Skype and then Microsoft. And during that period of time, I met Vijay Thela, who's the CEO of Workato, and a bunch of folks when we built that team, and we went through that particular journey. Once Quick was acquired by Skype, Vijay went in a different direction, looked at something, and then started Workato. And I did another startup in the meantime called Playphone. But it was pretty much inevitable that once something happens with Playphone, I'll come back to this particular team because it's a team I enjoy working with, right? I've
Yeah.
worked with them, in the past. So once Playphone got acquired, I came in and joined Workato. And the mission for Workato was apart from the people, the mission of Workato was just the thing that just inspired me, because the entire premise was, how can you go about integrating your applications and orchestrating across the board in a low code, no code manner? What I mean by that is, during that period of time, SaaS was growing like crazy. The business
Yep.
team were buying these SaaS applications, but then how do you really integrate? How do you really bring that together? It was still a very IT oriented work, right? So they could not scale to handle all the various things that were being thrown at them by the business. So Workato was born to figure out how can we enable not just the IT team to be more productive doing this, but also the operations team in various lines of businesses being able to build their own integrations, the orchestrations, etc., and do it in a secure and governed manner. And this opened up the entire aperture as to who all can do things, what can be done, and that was exciting as to how do you go about democratizing this. Since then, obviously, Workato has moved on to the agentic side of things, or added, I would say, not moved on, added agentic capabilities with that same ethos in mind, as to how
Yep.
can we enable people to build various purpose specific agents that are the core of their business processes, and be able to do this in a low code no code manner, with all the things that they need in order to deploy agents at core.
Yeah, and this is an enterprise, software. Excuse me. And, I'm sorry, I'll cut all that out. What is I mean, when you say, widen the aperture, you're talking about, taking it out of, the IT department and making it available to, um, people in the business units? And what specifically was the original and what specifically was the original, Workato for? And then, we'll talk about Workato Go. Is that the agent building platform?
Yeah, so it was, I wouldn't say that it was taking out of the IT department. IT is still the primary user and of this, right? It's how do you make them more productive is one part of it. And even when you do that democratization or enable other people to build, IT is still providing the security, the governance capabilities, so that the business teams that are also building these automations can do it in a safe and secure manner, right? And something that IT can manage in production. So there are two aspects of this. It is democratization, but still with security and governance as the capability therein. So that was the core part of this. Now, what we announced recently, Craig, are two things. One is Workato One as one single platform, and I can get into it in more details, and Workato Go as that end user experience where every employee in a company can become very productive and have just one application to do everything that they need to do in order to get their work done. So those are the two core components that we announced recently.
I see. And Workato, I mean, I always, say this when I'm a little bit at sea. If you were to meet somebody at a cocktail party and they know nothing about software, without slipping into, jargon, how would you describe to them what Workato does?
Yeah, so think of Workato as the platform that you use in order to essentially pull together every aspects of your business and deliver to that. What I mean by that is today your business is run by your business processes, and these processes can be cross functional or core to what you deliver. How can you really have agents in currently as a way for you to orchestrate all of these agents and do that in a secure manner? And it's something apart from security, something that scales as your business scales, right? So you don't have to think about all of those core technical capabilities for you to have agents drive operational efficiencies, being able to reduce the risks, overall, and you see ROI from that.
Yeah, and it's a platform
It is a
with
platform.
with
Exactly.
different functionalities, and I'm assuming that it ingests data from various places in the enterprise and then, makes that data available for different purposes, including agentic workflows. Is that close to what it
Yeah,
is?
yeah, it is close. And I can dive a little bit deeper into that, Craig, if you'd like. There are,
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
say that, there are five key aspects of this. And this also comes together when you're building agents that drive your core business processes. So one is deep connectivity to your applications, data sources, knowledge bases, like you were talking about. Now, these can be in cloud or on-prem, doesn't really matter, wherever your data is. Now, there is an element which is the reason why I call deep connectivity, is it is not just connecting to your applications, right? Whenever you're connecting or trying to move data from one to the other, trying to orchestrate a workflow, there are exceptions that happen, right?
Mhm.
The end system is down, right? Part of the data got moved, not the entire thing. So there are all of these exceptions that happen. And the deep connectivity layer that we have takes care of all of that, so that the end user who's building the automation or is building the agent doesn't have to worry about it. So that's item number one. The second is what we call deep action. What that means is when you're going to orchestrate workflows and even agentic workflows, you want that entire orchestration to happen end to end. Sometimes it is connecting multiple systems, sometimes it's moving data, sometimes it is being able to understand what that logic is, reasoning, inferring, all of that stuff, so that the agents do a great job end to end. So that's the second part, which is deep action. The third is agent orchestration and app orchestration. There are multiple apps that you have. There'll be multiple agents that you have. How do you orchestrate all of them together in order to drive that business outcome? That's the third element of this. The fourth, is, as you can imagine, is security and governance, because all of these things that you're doing has to have firstly a zero trust architecture, but also if you look at it, when it's going to execute a particular process, I may have different permission than someone else. How does it take that into consideration when it's orchestrating those processes end to end? And then the fifth item, which is in the platform capabilities, there is one single runtime. So you don't have to worry about DevOps. It scales up and down based on demand. It scales as the company scales. It scales throughout as you're building more and more agents or workflow automations throughout your company. All of those things come together. So these are the five, I would say, core components that make up that Workato platform.
Yeah. And I mean, you talk about the agentic enterprise. Can you paint a picture for us? What does a day in the life of a knowledge worker look like in a company that has fully embraced the agentic enterprise concept?
Currently, if you look at, most of the folks, their day to day is swivel chairing across multiple applications. Sometimes I'm looking at a CRM, sometimes a ticketing system, sometimes I'm going into HR because I need to file a PTO. There are all of those various things, and uh, and the knowledge worker today is going from app to app to app to get things done. And in future, as agents coming, or not in future, agents are coming in everywhere now, as you can see, it was not just now swivel sharing between apps, it's also swivel sharing between all of these agents. Even
Mhm.
finding a document, you're going through various places. If you want to take certain actions through an agent, you have to figure out which agent should I talk to? Where is this agent? How do I talk to that agent in order to get things done? Our vision of an agentic enterprise is that of one super application, which we call Workato Go. Your apps are connected to it, your agents are connected to it. It is bringing in information. It is understanding what is happening in your world. It's learning through that, bringing you all the core things that you need to work on that day. And then there are agents behind the scenes powering that work and doing that work for you. So for a knowledge worker, they're spending all the time in this one application in order to get all their jobs done. They're able to search for stuff. They're able to take action. They're able to orchestrate workflows. They even get the insights that, hey, so for example, if I want to get a simple thing as laptop, where is it in that particular process? Or if I am hiring a candidate, where is that agent who is acting on it is in that process? What does that look like? And it's bringing, surfacing those kind of information to me to basically do my job a lot more efficiently and me being more productive.
And so this agentic enterprise, people are talking about this. They're talking about a headless organization. You have an agent that handles maybe sales calls or sorts sales leads, and maybe does an initial outreach by email and schedules a call to those that respond favorably. And then you have an agent that prepares the salesperson by doing research on the company and giving him that in a digestible form. And then after the call, maybe you have an agent that's I don't know what that's taking the call notes and putting to do items onto a calendar. All of this stuff, the knowledge worker, he has a web interface with Workato, I'm guessing, and can see all of these different agents and can click on them and see where they are in the process or whether they're waiting for the human to answer something. Is that am I describing what it's doing?
Yeah, Craig, that is exactly, it's very close to what you're talking about. The other element of this is it's not just the agents. Agents do most of this autonomously, right? But it's also able to guide those agents, saying that, okay, help me prepare a call, but these are some of the things that I'm looking for. So those kind of ability for us humans to actually guide these agents so that they do a better job, that's a part of it. And then the agents, as they're working through that, they're learning through the guidance that they're getting. Also, for each of these agents, you specify, what is the end goal? What is the KPI? Like you were talking about, the goal is maybe to book a meeting with that particular customer in the initial stage. And so when you specify that goal, the agent works with you to figure out how to go about it. And then it goes autonomously starting doing things. And you're able to see where things are as a result of that. Similarly, after the meeting is booked, like you were saying, a call happened, a transcript comes out, but it's not just the standard transcript. Every company has their own selling methodology, right? And it's able to adapt that transcript into that selling methodology, automatically updating, say, your CRM like Salesforce and others, so that there is very clear visibility or a hygiene of that particular application that comes in. And then when it has to send a sequence, whether it be email or a follow-up calls, etc., it prompts the human or the sales rep in this case saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Are you good with it? Enable them to edit, make changes, and then it goes ahead and takes the next steps, etc. So there is this element of agents and people come together in order to do that work. And through each of these interactions, agents are learning and understanding more, and it's getting better day by day in order to assist this particular person.
Yeah, and so you were talking about permissions. So if I'm a salesman in an organization, I would have my Workato uh, desktop or configured to my domain and my activities. Then would my supervisor, maybe the head of the sales department, be able to look across all agents working for all the people in the department? Or I mean, are there layers or levels, and then you get up to the CEO and he can look at Workato Go and understand you know how far along they are in the sales department to meeting their quarterly target, maybe, or how what inventory looks like if it's a material goods company. And I mean, is it that sort of permissioning, and so that each person and each level of the organization has a different view?
Yes, there are multiple levels of permissioning, right? Based on the role that you have, it understands that and caters to that role. So at the complete granular level, say for example, if I'm a sales rep, I have access to certain accounts and opportunities. It understands that. And when I ask to make an update or do some changes, it takes my permission to make those updates, right? So we call that agent authentication. So what that means is there is very clear that I can update only the things that I own or I have access to, and not something else that I don't have access to. So it starts from there. And then then it goes up, right? The sales manager is able to see a view of all the sales rep who report to them. What does that look like? And then as it goes up to the CEO, they see that as well, all the way it travels through. So it respects the role and the permissions that the user has and understands the levels in order to surface the information accordingly.
Yeah. And are the agents that are working within the Workato ecosystem, are those built by Workato, or because increasingly there are these agentic marketplaces where you can go find an agent that does something you want to do rather than building it yourself? Does or is Workato, do you have to build the agents within Workato?
That's a great question, Craig. There are two aspects of this. One is we have an agent studio that you can use in order to build custom agents that you want, right? So that's one aspect of it. The second is we pre-package agents. We call them Agentic applications that people can take pretty much right off the shelf, customize it to their specific processes, and get going with those. And there is a third element of this. This is what the agent orchestration is, which is if you build agents on some other platform, right, or some other capabilities, our agents are able to interact with those agents in order to perform whatever the function they're looking to do. So there are these three aspects that enable a company to build agents using Workato specifically, take one of our pre-built agents, or have our agents be interacting with other agents that are built in other platforms in order to get the job done.
Yeah. And, there's, I'm not sure it's really happened yet, but people are concerned about agent sprawl, where an organization ends up with, uh, hundreds or thousands of agents, and no one is really sure how many they are, what they're doing, which is sort of a frightening thing. How do you manage agent sprawl with Workato?
Oh, I think I'll go back a bit and then talk about agent sprawl. Means Workato, for the past decade or so, we were helping with app sprawl. There were
Yeah.
so many SaaS applications which are there, and we are able to connect and get meaning out of it so that you can orchestrate workflows end to end. We see the problem very similarly. Agent sprawl, I think, is going to be much more than the app sprawl. Um, and being able to orchestrate across those agents is a core thing that we build in. And as a part of that, security and governance, who has access to what agents can do is a core part, and we provide that capability in order to orchestrate across all of these agents. And our final answer is, it's one part of it is agent sprawl and being able to orchestrate everything around it. But at the end of the day, if you think about from an end user or an employee standpoint, they need one place to go. They
Yeah.
don't care if it is agent A, B, C, D, what is getting that work done. They just need one place to go in order to get things done. And that is Workato Go, that one single interface where you go, where you search for things, where you're finding answers for things. And agents, whether it's built on Workato or other agentic platforms, are all a part of it in order to get that thing done. So the end user experience is also, I think, key in order to drive this adoption.
Yeah, that's interesting what you said about SaaS sprawl, because even as an individual, you see an interesting piece of software, you sign up for the trial that is going to turn into a subscription. You tell yourself, "Well, I'll cancel that before it starts." Uh, you try it out, and then you forget about it, and 2 years later, you suddenly realize, "Oh my god, I've been paying X number of dollars a month for this thing that I forgot I even signed up for." And I'm sure in large organizations that happens a lot. So with Workato, is there a function where you can track all SaaS and agentic applications in the enterprise and see which ones are not being used, and then, you know, disable them or get rid of them if they've just been forgotten about? I mean, how is there a level at which maybe an IT manager, a CTO, or somebody can see how efficiently the agents are being used and whether they're agents that people have created and then left idle, uh, that should be disconnected from the enterprise?
Yeah, there is a means you can do that with Workato. We call optimization essentially because one part of it is an application, but typically when you buy an application, you would buy a number of seats, right? In the sense, a number of users who can use that. So, and when being able to optimize those licenses based on usage, predominantly based on usage, right? Things like that. There are capabilities in Workato that enable you to detect that and optimize your licenses across the board. Because we see, especially in IT, we're having to deal with so many different apps and down the road, so many different agents as well. That is a key part as to how do you consolidate that? How do you make sure that you're getting subscriptions for and other things for things that people use and on a regular
Yep.
basis. Yeah, there are certain applications which are not regularly use based, but that's okay. But being able to optimize licenses across your entire tech stack is a capability that Workato provides.
Yeah. And what's the range of agents? I mean, not that agents is the only thing that you guys do, but what is the range of agents that you see uh, in uh, in companies using or building with Workato, or that Workato has available in its prepackaged agents? Like from what to what? People hear the word agents and they generally think of a very narrow scope or group of activities.
Yeah, so we means in our customer base, we are seeing number of different use cases, Craig. But if I look at what are the top 4 or 5, one is the sales part that you talked about. We call our agents genies, and the reason why it is a genie is typically, like you were talking about, agents still are at the periphery of what you can do. They're not at the core of your business processes. Where genies have this capability, so that when you build these genies, you give them a KPI as to what is the goal that they need to achieve. Then you provide it with specific skills as to these are the skills that you can execute. So you're enabling that agent to do, or this genie to do more. And then you provide it with knowledge bases, and also what are the various events that it should listen to so that it can run autonomously. So that makes a genie, right? So we are seeing these genies in a number of cases. One is an IT help desk, people coming in asking questions saying that, hey, my laptop is broken, I need access to XYZ software, and there are agents behind the scene that help you do that. That's one. Very similarly, customer support, right? In the sense, when customers are coming to your support site looking for things, they're interacting with an agent, and this agent is able to, take actions on behalf of this. So like you were talking about inventory, I ordered something. Hey, where is my order? When will I get it? Right? Where is it in that process? All of those things, the actions that agents can take, it is able to do that. So customer support is the second use case that we see. So sales, IT, customer support. The final thing that we are seeing quite a bit is around HR and finance, right? In HR, it's because people have to do their job on a regular basis, things like expense reporting, a PTO that I want to file, when should I enroll for benefits, what are the various things that do you on a regular basis on an HR standpoint. That's the other thing we are seeing. And in finance, it ranges across the board. Like procure to pay is a pretty big use case that we see. So there are all, or accrual, that's another use case that we see. So there are all of these various things that we are seeing our customers do. But predominantly, I would say that those are the core functions or lines of businesses where we see where our customers are using Workato agents for.
Yeah. Okay. And Workato Go, we started talking about that, is the all-in-one application for employees. Can you tell us about Workato One, which was also recently launched? And within Workato One, as I understand, there's an orchestration. I don't know if it's a level or a module or a component, and then there's Workato Agentic, which introduces of the ability to build and manage agents. And can you sort of explain that and differentiate those and how they relate to Workato Go?
Yeah, absolutely. So think of Workato One as the platform. We
Yeah.
talked about the 5 key things that are needed in a platform for you to benefit from agents, right? Or bring agents to the core of your business. So Workato is that one platform which brings all of these things together, right? So when you're building agents, say for example, when a sales ops person is building an agent, they don't have to think of all the intricacies of the platform. How do I run it? How do I deploy it? How secure is it? All of those things that come as a part of it, they don't have to think about that because the platform takes care of everything that is needed in order to really run and deploy those agents at scale. So that is the Workato One platform. Now, within that platform, there is this Workato Go, which is the end employee experience. So me as an employee means go to Workato Go, hence the name Go, in order to get my work done. That's the web application that I'm interacting with. That's the mobile application that I'm interacting with to say, hey, I'm looking for this document, or I want to now start a quoting process. There are agents behind the scene that is helping you do that work. So that's what think of Workato One as that one product, one platform with one end user, capability for you to put all of these things together and use this in your enterprise.
I see. And within that, there's a feature, a function that orchestrates data and applications and processes. Uh, is that right? And then there's an agentic uh, layer or module that builds and manages agents, and all of that then is delivered to the end user on Workato Go, depending on their permissions.
Yeah,
Is am I
yeah.
getting that right?
Yeah, you are. So at the core of the one platform, there is an orchestration capability. We believe that the core thing that differentiates an agent is for it to be able to take action and orchestrate processes end to end, right? You give it a KPI, it understands these are the things that I need to orchestrate, and it does that. So a core part of this is what we call Workato Orchestrate. It enables that entire orchestration. It enables you to connect to all of those applications which are there. So that's the key part. Now, on top of this Workato Orchestrate capability, which comes as a part of Workato One, is this agentic capability that enables you to build these purpose specific agents that can orchestrate processes, that can execute actions throughout end to end. So that's that agentic capability, and these agentic capability also enables you to interact with agents that you build from which are built not using Workato, but from third party as well. So if you think of Workato One, it has full orchestration capabilities for agents to leverage. It also has the security and governance and connectivity layer. And on top of it is an agentic layer that enables you to build these agents which are at the core of your business processes.
Yeah. There's I mean, this is interesting, and but is an explosion of agents or agentic platforms and orchestration platforms and specialized agents. How does Workato differentiate itself in that explosion of new platforms?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, most of the agentic platforms or agentic frameworks which are there for you to build agents do one part of the job well, which is for you to build agents and build it in code. And then you have to put all the other pieces together, whether it be security and governance, connectivity to all your applications for it to really work well. You have to figure out, how do you really deploy these agents, how you can scale those agents. All of those pieces are not there in agentic platform. And Workato was born to do that, right? In the sense, our
Yeah.
initial thesis, if you look at it, was around to do that orchestration across applications. Now we are taking it on the agent side as well. So that end-to-end capability that we provide is not something that other agentic platforms are able to provide. And that's the core differentiation that we bring in as to how do you really deploy agents at scale and at the core of your business processes. It kind of reminds me, recently I saw a Gartner um, report, and there was this chart which was called the agency gap. And what they found is most of the businesses are at the low agency side of things. They are doing simple tasks in simple systems. They are not proactive. They're not. They don't have as much of a learning capability in order to do that. So those are at the edges, like create email, create some content, things like that are being done. Whereas on the core business processes side of things, those are still a lot of it is still being done by humans and others because the agents have not been able to do that at the core business processes. And our thesis is mainly to reduce that gap because most of
I
our
see.
customers are using it to drive their core business processes throughout and become more efficient as a result of that. So that's what we address with Workato One and the differentiation that we bring.
Yeah. The yeah, business leaders, I feel for them because uh they feel that they have to do something. They're under pressure from the board. Are we adopting agents? Are we adopting AI? And it's just a sea of products and platforms, and then consultants who are trying to guide them around. Uh, what how are business leaders, or how should they be choosing a platform or choosing a starting point for AI to solve real business problems, and not just, as you said, uh, having employees read their emails with an agent?
Yeah. When we talk to customers, it's means we guide them in a few different directions. One is thinking a little bit long term. Yes, there are things that can improve productivity, like you're talking about, whether it be emails, etc. Those are great. But think long term as to how your businesses can be more efficient. How can you drive the core KPIs of your business? How can you drive more revenue? How can you operate more efficiently, etc. And look at those aspects of it and try to come up with, and we guide them to come up with a core use case that they use an agent to do. Because at the end of the day, when you look at those core use cases, that's where you see ROI, right? In the
Yeah.
sense, productivity gains will happen, but from a business ROI standpoint, if you look at that, the core thing is it really at the core of my business process helping me with my core things like, say, order to cash, employee onboarding, offboarding, supply chain, improvements? Are those things being done through an agent? That is what we guide our customers through to look at how they can really benefit from this and get the ROI from the investment that they'll be making on the agentic side.
Yeah, that's interesting because there initially, when agents uh, came out, uh, or even generative AI before it was agentic, there was a lot of talk about productivity and time savings. But as people have adopted things, I think they're realizing a lot of this low level stuff like an employee being able to read his emails faster or something like that, or write an email faster. Time is saved, but it's very fragmented. It doesn't necessarily add up to cross enterprise savings. It saves the employees some time, so maybe you can take a longer lunch break, or it doesn't necessarily equate to productivity for the enterprise. And what you're talking about with ROI, as opposed to these more fragmented savings, is looking at how the agents are improving ROI, um, as the agents are adopted, and how do you measure that?
Yeah, that is means the ROI depends a lot on the use case. So, for example, for a customer support or IT, a big part of it is if you think about the KPIs, how many tickets or customer queries are getting deflected and addressed by agents. That's the KPI. If you look at on the sales side, the KPIs are different, which is could be how many new opportunities are we generating, which is done by agents, and how quickly an opportunity moves from various stages, stage one to being a closed one, basically closing that opportunity. How quickly are agents able to assist with that? So the KPIs are different, and so we have this capability where you can define these KPIs, and there are dashboards that you can see how effective that particular agent is in order to deliver to the KPI that you have defined for that particular agent.
Yeah, it's interesting. So from the CEO's point of view, does he have a global view, and do all of these ROI gains add up to an enterprise-wide ROI that he can track?
Yeah, means that's possible. Absolutely. Where they can, means depending upon the KPI that the CEO is monitoring, they can look at all those ROIs or these dashboards for agents to come that to bring that together.
Yeah. Um, what how do you guide companies when they come to you? Well, I guess first of all, is this for Fortune 200? Is it for Fortune 5,000? I mean, what level of enterprise are you targeting?
It is, I would say, more Fortune 5000 side of things. Um,
Right. So it's a broad market. It's
it's a broad market. Yes.
yeah, yeah, and you have the advantage of having been doing this for a long time with SaaS applications. Uh, when people, well, also, how do you price this? Is it by seat? Is it by usage across an enterprise? Or
It is predominantly by I would say it's by consumption
yeah,
of that, right? So that's the predominant way that we price this.
yeah, uh,
And I
and
think it works well. Sorry to interrupt the credit. And it works well because as you're consuming, as you're using this, it goes back to our initial usage talk, right? Which is as you're using this, you're seeing more and more benefit from it. And that's the way we price it. So that, if you're not using it, there is really no benefit that you're seeing from it, right? So
yeah.
usage-based pricing is the way we price.
And in the Workato is a platform, as agentic capabilities progress, and they're progressing quickly, uh, you can you can replace agents. You're not married to one particular agent or one particular SaaS product in the Workato platform. Is that right? It's sort of, you plug these different things in.
That's right. You can plug in different kind of agents, different kind of applications, etc., and it's able to orchestrate through all of that.
Yeah, and you said it's, scalable. How big can it get?
Ah, gosh. So far we have not run into a limit. I'll give an example. One of the customers we are starting to work with. they process around 80,000 customer requests per day.
Wow.
And we are good with that. Right. So basically the architecture is built in a way where it can scale up and down based on the customer demand. And it is architected in a way that the zero trust is baked into it. So and the great thing with this, Craig, is the customers don't have to do anything in it. It is
Yeah.
just on the platform level. We go up and down based on how means what are the number of things that we are seeing across the board. It's not that the customer all of a sudden have to think, oh, I need to do now 80,000, 100,000 of these requests, address that. I need to buy separate servers. I need to, have different cores or various other things. You just don't think about it. It just goes up and down based on what that usage is looking like.
Yeah. Uh, you know, do you think that companies are going to come up working with a platform like Workato, experimenting, that they'll come up with innovations or even breakthroughs in how their business operates, or maybe their industry operates, now that they have these tools? And I'm thinking, I have a friend who's a software developer, and a good one, and he was saying how wonderful Claude Code is.
Yeah.
The coding, uh, uh, I guess, coding agent that Claude has. And that suddenly he feels really powerful because he can do so much more in so much less time than he could previously. So, do you have a sense that companies are going to start doing things that no one thought of, or and it's really going to change the business landscape?
I totally think so. I think this is such a transformative technology, and it's broad based, right? In the sense, it is something that every company can benefit from. This agentic technology, or even if you go back to generative AI, it will completely transform companies because they can scale a lot more efficiently. They can grow various different things. I think innovation will be huge across the board in companies, mainly because just like you're talking about a software developer being more productive with Cloud Code, Cursor, and other tools, businesses will become a lot more productive. I was talking about this customer who is looking at 80,000, requests per day that they get from customers. They're taking a completely different look as to what that customer experience would look like. And this is an e-commerce company, how they can better serve their customers through these agents who are there 24/7, being able to help them through various things. It's game changing for them, right? How they have process returns, all of that stuff that we all love from Amazon because it has
Yeah.
put the resources. Now all e-commerce companies are able to do things like that and provide that better experience overall. So I think it just changes every company in the way they do things. And interestingly, we are seeing companies already in that mindset. They are looking at it from that this can transform, and as a result, the boards are also pushing them accordingly because this is that transformative technology that will just change the way we operate overall.
Yeah, and it seems to me, well, this is a question: how affordable is the pricing for a small enterprise or a startup? Or is it really heavier lift than that?
No, it is. I mean, since we are predominantly, Craig, like I was talking about usage base, the lift is not that heavy in terms of
Yeah.
getting started with it.
Yeah, well, what I was gonna say is that it opens the door for startups in a lot of industries who could be native agentic or agentic natives,
Mhm.
uh, the way that people wanted to be digital natives
Right.
one time. And it's also sort of frightening for established companies, because if they don't adapt and adopt this agentic enterprise mindset, they could quickly find themselves, uh, you know, falling behind or obsolete even.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the way, at least we talk about it as the agentic enterprise is something that almost every company needs to go to so that they don't fall behind.
Yeah.
That's one part of it. The other element is if you even look at the employees or the people or the workforce, the knowledge workers, there will be these folks who are more productive by being able to leverage agents compared to folks who don't. Right.
Yeah.
So that also will come together. So if an in an agentic enterprise, businesses are becoming more efficient and driving this, being competitive, innovation at scale, and the employees are leveraging these agents to be more productive on a day-to-day basis. So it's like almost like you can see this growing exponentially if all of these things come together.
Yeah. You have kind of a row seat to this stuff. Do you have a sense of where this is going? As I said, the capabilities, agentic capabilities are increasing weekly, it seems. Uh, in 5 years, are we going to have, as I referenced at the beginning, headless organizations that are basically a lot of agents and a lot of managers sort of uh, coordinating the agents or a layer of employees managing the agents, but then uh, you know what's the role of the CEO at that point?
How I wish I had a crystal ball to predict what would happen. The way things are moving, they're moving so fast that it is hard to predict, to at least for me to predict what it would look like 5 years. But I think what you're talking about, a headless organization or what we call an agentic enterprise, pretty much every company will be that.
Yeah.
Everyone is will be working with agents. Everyone will be looking at how they're driving entire business productivity therein, and I think it's all for good. In fact, I was discussing this with one other coworker. Like we are here today, talking about things. If you think, with agentic and the great thing that can be done now with generative AI, it can almost look like, we are talking to each other in person rather than on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like maybe all sitting in couches in this virtual world, chit-chatting about this, right? So I see that the entire means the way we do things will completely change. And I think it'll change for the better, including the interactions that people have with the others. So it is not just on the agent side. I think overall, we just do better as businesses and as people.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously as a company, you're interested in large enterprises with huge employee workforces, but it's exciting. I have, young boys in their 20s up to 30, and I keep talking to them about this stuff because some 25-year-old, some smart kid is going to get a hold of this stuff and build a global organization with he and his friends that blows the competition out of the water because it's purely agentic, and they're not afraid, and they don't have the legacy processes to slow them down. Is there anything I've missed in talking about Workato that you want the audience to hear?
Mm, just thinking. No, I think we covered. Means we covered Workato One, we covered Workato Go, we talked about agents, how they're different. I think we covered pretty much everything, Craig.
Right. And again, looking forward, how long do you think? I mean, you can see the penetration of agents into the enterprise, and as you said, it's at this point really on the edge. Do you think this is going to happen quickly? I mean, with things like Workato, I see that it could. Do you think that in 5 years, most enterprises will be have adopted large amounts of agents?
I think so, Craig. I think the companies, at least the customers that I talk to, are already thinking about it. They are thinking as to how they can use this technology to transform their business, and they're there, right? The matter is, it's more about how do they get started, where they get started, and make those kind of long-term bets so that they can grow with that company and the platform as they go on that particular journey. So I think it's there, Craig. I won't be surprised if it happens even faster than 5 years. With the way things are moving and the way companies are looking at this may happen faster.
In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. What if you could have all three at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have, since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper? OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, and 80% less for networking. Better? In test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is a cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/IonAI. IonAI, all run together, EYEONAI. That's oracle.com/IonAI.